Hey there, comic friends! I'm Travis,
And I'm Ethan.
and this is
No Capes.
where we talk about books that have to do with superheroes. Not mumbled all over
Not
that.
quite.
Jeez, this is for books for the week of June 10th, 2015. We're gonna jump right into a ton of books this week. We'll start out with Nameless, issue number 4. A nice, calm, and relaxing, and
No.
and normal.
Oh, so normal.
Just
linear especially. I understand everything that's going on. I know exactly where the characters are at all times. Yeah, no, this book is insane. But not in a bad way. Usually I don't really like the whole, I have no idea what's going on, because I have no idea what's going on. I don't, well,
you have
I
a
understand,
sense of
I
what's
understand
going on,
what's going on, each different one of the realities. I just don't know which reality is the one that's happening right now.
Okay,
I understand everything up until the ship crashes, because I know that, you know, we go right there up in space, and the home base has already been taken out by whatever weird alien creepiness
whatever insanity's going on there
has messed it up, and then like a bunch of the craziness messes up people on the ship, right, and the ship blows up. And they land on the
it cracks apart, right?
And they land on the super asteroid for giants.
And they attempt to land on the asteroid, and the ship breaks up the rest of the way, and some of them survive.
And I have no idea, which ones have survived. I assume
Nameless survived.
Nameless
and
survived.
The daughter.
And the daughter, but how survived are they? Because I'm assuming the reality where she was.
I think there's only one reality.
Yeah.
And I think they're just spinning into madness. I think that what it is they're getting closer. They are actually physically going down into the asteroid.
You think they're still alive? They're not all torn up with the weird brain maggots like.
I just think that they are spinning into madness, and this is their adventure into madness. Bits and pieces of that may clue us in as to what's going on, but I think it's that kind of like the old Lovecraftian stories where lots of times the main character, once they see something that's just so crazy, they completely lose their shit and they never get it back. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of. That we're just.
So you think they're still in their suits and they're continuing down into the hole? They're not anywhere else?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, not to say that something isn't physically happening to them now. You know, now that they're in the hole, you know, I mean, there could actually be alien forces here beyond whatever, you know, psychological thing is happening to them. Because clearly it's not clear. But I think that's the case. I think all this psychological stuff you're seeing, or him sitting around sipping a Mai Tai and telling everybody that the world's overpopulated, I think that's just in their heads as they're falling apart.
Okay.
But really cool.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, the art in it it's
gross.
This is,
but not in a good.
This is
way.
Morrison. This is Morrison being Morrison.
Yes,
it is. So I'm assuming large pieces of this will all tie together at some point. We may have to reread it to get there, but...
Was Morrison always this crazy? Because I don't remember 52. 52 was the first Morrison book I ever read. I don't think...
Yeah, he's always been nuts.
He's always been nuts? Okay, because I don't remember any of his...
I don't remember he wrote on 52?
Yeah,
I don't think he did. I don't
Sure?
think he did. I think it was Johns and Rudka and people like that. And Wade. I think the real first Morrison stuff that you probably started reading was Batman.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, of course, the Batman and Robin and that sort of stuff.
And that was crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah. Pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah, for sure.
What do we have next?
Next up is Rebels issue 3.
3.
To find it.
I'm really enjoying Rebels. I love the artwork in it. It really has a Northlander feel to me. And so that's why I'm excited by it. I know that, you know, we're 3 issues in. This first thing's supposed to be a 6-issue arc. I know by the time we get to the end of that, there's going to be some, you know, full-on, you know, gut punch probably. You know, we're kind of getting them along the way in the story. But I know that we're going to get something at the end of that that I think will be cool. You got to get to it. I know some people are probably more interested in reading this in trade because you'll just pick it up. You'll get the one whole story. You'll be and be able to read it right through without having to wait for the month. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the long read of it. In trade, I wouldn't get the Tula Latoy covers, which I enjoy also. But yeah, it's just a weird kind of a this is this event that's happening. And here's a slice of life that's going on while this event is happening, and that's interesting.
Yeah, no, I like it. My only problem with it is that the end, right? Because the guy always talks about it, in his journals, right? At the very end. My problem is at the end of each issue, it feels like they're basically giving us a stay tuned because of this reason that you should care, and I already care enough to keep getting the book, so I don't really feel like that's necessary, and it kind of it makes me go, wait, should I be tuning in next time? I don't know. So
Okay.
it just feels unnecessary, and because it's there, it takes away. But
Okay.
but in this specific issue, I don't believe in hitting your children, right? I don't think you should. I mean, there's studies that show it makes them stupid, right? I don't think you should hit your kids, right? I think you can discipline them well enough with just words. However, if I fell into an ice hole, right, and
Fell into a frozen lake.
Frozen lake, and I gave my daughter the simple task of walking over to the shore and starting a fire, and instead she ran away, I would end her. I would beat my child back to next Wednesday if I didn't die.
I was gonna say that's assuming you didn't turn into a popsicle and die.
Like, he gets there, she's just gonna throw the stumbling around. I'm like,
yeah, we get this
Way to
flashback.
be.
Yeah, we get this flashback of our main character as a kid and his father falling in. Curious to see how that ties into the larger story.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming that has will have some sort of meaning.
Yes.
Because most of these stories, I'm guessing, like Northlanders, will have some sort of relevant to us living now and whatnot, and it'll all tie together. But yeah.
Like the same thing in the Massive, yeah.
Right. Right.
But otherwise, I like it. It's a good book.
Yeah, enjoy it. Next up is Injection number 2, along the lines of potentially confusing books. I didn't find this one that confusing,
Really?
though, but I had other people talk about it being that was really confusing.
I guess I don't find this book confusing at all.
Yeah.
This is, for me, reading this book, like, I thought it was going to be good going into it, but what it feels like is like when you go to a movie that, you expect to be bad and then it's really good. You're like, oh, this is weird. Just a lot of the events that happen in your mind feel very movie-esque to me. Like, for instance, the guy on the cover here, right, he gets set up with his special gun there, the PSS, I think is what it's called. Basically, it's a little Russian gun that's completely silent and leaves no gunshot residue. So it's
Right.
the ultimate spy gun, right? And he's supposed to be coming in, taking out all these people, right? And he runs into some big buff dude who he doesn't know. So then he and the big buff dude proceed to trash the apartment as he fights with him, and that felt very.
It was an awesome fight scene.
To me. Yes, it was. And I like the main character, the lady with the cane.
Okay, we assume she's the main character.
Yeah.
She seems to be the driving force behind
Yep.
what's going on. She's the person that's contacting everybody.
And it's
Still looking for her sandwich.
Yep. Yes, she is. And it was cool seeing her call up everyone else who was part of her former
Team. Right.
I'm looking forward to finding out what exactly happened to make all the team members basically be like, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
So, what drove her to the brink of insanity? I love the conversation she has with the like CEO-esque guy. With the she's like
The really smart guy. The guy that the quote unquote Sherlock Holmes dude.
Yes, and she, it's this great segue. She says, "I'll need that sandwich," right? And it's him being served a sandwich. Right? But the sandwich has like a mushroom. It's like mushroom
the
bread.
bread is made out of mushrooms. It's got lichen on it, lichen on it instead of lettuce. And
And she calls her and he's like, "Do people eat lichen now?" And she's like, "Well, that depends. Where are you at? New York? Then I'm going to say no." That was cool. And then it was cool seeing the African American dude. He's kick-ass.
How about the IT person at the end?
Yeah.
Who was called in to fix the IT problem, and of course it was a dead bloody guy. And at the end of it, she's burning him up. I mean, she's literally hit the computer lab on fire. Mostly him, but the entire
That was
fire.
like,
and she's like going, "Oh no, it's just smoke in my eyes," and she's crying. Yeah, I really like the book.
Yeah, me too.
I think that Warren Ellis is on it again as far as writing stuff. I think he's writing really smart things that are going to be long, interesting stories, not just quick little blurbs to relaunch a Marvel title or something like that. That it feels like he might have something to say again, and that excites me because I do think that Ellis writes some great stuff.
Yeah.
So speaking of Ellis, he just had a trip to the hospital. So hopefully he's doing.
God damn it!
Hopefully he's doing okay. They don't know exactly what happened. They decided it wasn't a stroke or anything like that, but they can't figure out exactly what.
Oh, okay, cool. As long as it's not anything he's inflicting on himself, then that's...
No. He's actually cutting back even further on the smoking, drinking,
good.
And coffee, which I don't know. Maybe that's bad for him though. Maybe that's his problem. He's trying to be healthy. But anyway, so hopefully he's doing well now, and
Good.
we won't.
Hopefully.
For he won't see a loss, and we won't see a loss of
Yeah,
books. All right,
yeah.
but still awesome book. Really enjoyed the heck out of it.
Next up is Coffin Hill, issue 19.
Feels like we're finally starting to get towards the end of coming up to the battle of Eve versus the original Coffin Hill witch in the spirit world. It took me a few pages in this to kind of get back into exactly what was going on and stuff. I'm still really enjoying the book. I really love the art. It's felt like it's lost some momentum. This whole kind of supposedly climactic witch fight thing. Now I'm starting to wonder, is the book going to be done? I mean, like, is it not selling well enough that we're ending it? Because it feels to me like if you have the ultimate battle with
your witch?
With the witch that supposedly has haunted the Coffin Hill forest this entire time, if that battle gets ended...
Exactly. We've learned all about the Isis Fisher. And we've learned all about everyone's backstories.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so now she's getting ready to fight the Coffin Witch.
Right. So if that happens, then I don't know what's after
I guess
that,
are we going to get more
clearly there could be other mysteries. Clearly they could continue on, but you just feel like that this was the big element hanging over.
Exactly.
Everything.
What without the witch being there to open a gateway to mess everything up, right? You know, to let other terrible, nasty things in to destroy Coffin Hill.
Right.
Why is it called Coffin Hill?
Well, because of the founding people.
Yeah.
Or the coffins.
So,
but I'm still really enjoying it. I worry for the longevity now of the book.
Yeah. Not that you didn't cover. I liked it. I like the art.
Yeah.
I like the characters. I like seeing Eve do stuff. So.
Yeah. Like I said, I still really enjoyed the book, but it feels like it's also lost something. And then maybe that's because we're fighting the ultimate baddie now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Copperhead, issue number 8.
I love this book so much.
It's a great book, isn't it?
Much.
What's cool about it?
Everything. The characters, the art, the story, the setting.
Why? What about those?
Okay, let's see. Well, first of all, it's a space western. So basically it has that going for it,
right.
alone. Second off, the main character is a kick-ass female sheriff, right? So
she's not in this issue, really, though. Is she?
No. That's because the supporting character now, main character of this arc,
Boo.
is a majestic space cow. So that's cool. He doesn't look like a cow to you? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I guess he looks like a big orange cow.
You need to go to the farm.
He looks like a big orange cow.
Dude, no, he doesn't.
He's like a space.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Anyway, but
camel at most. That closest, but not a cow.
Bruda Fonksiker.
Boo.
Yes, Boo. He's it's really he is just as interesting as the main character because I mean he has this added thing where I thought that maybe it was just a general war between like multiple species against multiple species, but now it seems to me that the war is straight up humans versus whatever his species, I don't know what they're called, was straight up, and they lost. And so now there's this interesting dynamic of him, you know, being...
Yeah, he gets captured by some criminals here because they break one of their buddies out of jail, and they take Boo prisoner, and one of the hoodlums is of the same race that Boo is, and gives him a really hard time because not only did they lose the war to the humans, he's now the humans' lackey. You know, he's their boy, as it were. You know, kind of a thing. The equivalent of if the South had won the Civil War, and you know all the blacks who were free decided to work for the Southerners or something. You know, so.
Yeah, so that's what makes him interesting is that weird society dynamic he has with being, while he's resentful because I mean, obviously he was part of
Right.
a war and lost.
But he's a good person.
Exactly, he's a good person, and he accepts that they lost.
This
I mean,
is-
that's just it. It's like, I don't know, the guy wants to make it out his weakness that he's now bowing down again after they lost the war, but I don't think that's true. If anything, I think that's extra strength because, you know, Boo has the bigness to go, you know what, we lost.
Right.
We couldn't win, you know.
Right.
Them's the breaks. I'm not gonna, like, become an outlaw or throw away my life just because I lost and I'm bitter about it. You know, I'm gonna move on.
Right.
So, I think that's cool. That makes him cool. The Doctor worries me. The Doctor that What's-Her-Face is dating.
Yeah. Yeah, that was more in last issue, right? This
Yeah.
one, but yeah.
mhm. He worries me. Actually, all the characters in this worry me.
No, he's not a doctor.
Isn't he a doctor?
He's a school teacher.
Oh, he's a school teacher. Yeah, so.
He's even weirder.
Yeah, No, literally, all of them, all the characters worry me. Whenever they do anything, I'm like, no,
Right.
don't die!
Right.
Because, I mean, it's the kid, right? Who's a kid, okay? In a space western, which means he's gonna get in trouble. He already has, right?
Sure. Sure.
Boo. Right. Boo and the sheriff for basically the same reasons because they're both good people who stick their noses probably where they shouldn't and then refuse to, like,
Right.
back down.
They aren't going to walk away from anything.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean,
the
they don't-
sniper's cool too.
Yeah.
Who's been kind of dogging them in this issue,
Mhm.
you know? For whatever reason.
Is it the same sniper?
I would guess it is. Why would it be anybody
Well,
else?
I guess, but we didn't
Well,
see
because
him.
the sniper saved her, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Saved her from these guys in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, he's just out there wandering around on the outskirts, just, I don't know. So he's almost a good guy too, even though, of course, he's genetically bred specifically to be killer warriors, and now they don't know what to do with them, that they've created these things. And so there's that whole dynamic too.
Exactly.
And he's slowly taking pot shots at him.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he might get trampled now because they started a stampede.
In his
But
direction, yeah.
Good book.
It's, yeah. Yeah.
It's just a really lot of enjoyment,
Yeah.
great art, smartly written characters.
Yep.
You know, as simple as it is,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's complex in
Yeah,
that
it's still
simplicity
so
of
good,
it. So
yeah.
so just really a perfect mix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's next?
Next up is Starve, issue 1.
This is an image book. Brian Wood writing it. Dengel Zigel, yeah, who I can't really say his name.
I'm really sorry.
And Dave Stewart. I know a lot of people, you include, I think, struggle or dislike his art style because it is so. I mean, this cover is the brighter of most of his style of art. He's super heavy inks, heavy shadows everywhere. You know, everybody's hair is big and thick and super heavy
When
lines.
he worked on The Massive, I didn't have a problem then. My problem in this isn't, like, his art. It's, well, yes, it is. Isn't his, like, style of his hair or his inking. It's that everybody's heads look squashed.
Oh, okay.
They look like sideways ovals, and that
Well,
bothers me.
that's partially because of how
they're
heavily shadowed everything is and whatnot.
And I get that, like, everything's supposed to be heavily shadowed, right? Because it's all depressing in that way. Also, when he meets his beautiful daughter looks even more beautiful.
Well, then on that, they use thin lines. They use
Yeah,
thin lines on the daughter, so that makes her very fair-faced. Anyway, the premise of the story is you have this guy.
His third world
we have
Iron
this-
Chef America.
Yes, third world Iron Chef America. Basically, you have this guy who created this show called Starve, and the original concept of the show is he was going to hop around the world, showing off different cuisines at different odd places in the world. That's what it was. He did a few shows, got some money. His personal life fell apart. Basically, he came out as gay after having been married for 20 years. His wife didn't take kindly to that. They divorced. She basically attempts to take him for everything he's worth and his kid and everything like that. He decides, screw it, I'm leaving. He wants to become not famous after so long of being competitive and trying to be famous. He goes off to, like, Thailand. He's been living there, living a happy life. The economy completely collapses. The fraction of the 1% maintains their hold on everything, and everybody else is living in squalor and misery. Well, in the process of all that thing failing, the TV network, the original TV network failed. So suddenly, our main character, Gavin, his income from the show, even though he's not there, because he's credited with it, he was still getting some income. That all dries up. So they show up and go, look, we need you to come back. We're going to start the store, the show. We want you back on the show. Because he has no money, he decides to go and do it. Goes back to the show, and the show has become more of an Iron Chef kind of thing. You're competing against another chef. They give you some odd, thing, kind of like Chopped. Well, I guess Iron Chef. They give you some odd element, and you have to make it so awesome that the sliver of the 1% would love to eat it as fine dining, regardless of what it is. his competition is a guy by the name of Roman, who he's been competing with forever. He was friends with him for 15 years, but even while they were friends, they were both battling for book deals, television shows, and restaurants. So he comes back, he decides he wants three things. He decides he wants his daughter back, he wants his money back, and he has to do 15 more shows. By the time these 15 shows are done, he wants to stick it to the 1%, who basically have decided that their way to combat the rest of the world is to dehumanize those people. And how they're doing that is on the Starve show. In the first episode, they are to prepare dog. They are giving a dog carcass to prepare, which is no big deal to Gavin. He's eaten dog. Dog's eaten in a number of countries. Not the big deal, but the fine 1% of the United States, ooh, how scandalous. So they have to make this thing. And he's going to embrace that and take that all on. I think it's gonna be interesting.
Oh, me too.
I mean, I like the political bent. Brian Wood writes, if you're happy to read angling to the left, Brian Wood writes a good story like that. So I think I'm gonna enjoy it for that.
Yeah, I liked it. Like I said, I wasn't expecting it from the cover. I'm like, oh, guy looking knives. I'm like,
right.
Well, I usually know where this goes. No. Oh, okay. Not people getting cut up. That's weird. Not yet, at least.
Right. And a note in this with Dave Stewart, who's a wonderful colorist. He's actually listed as a creator.
Really?
It's interesting because lots of times you'll have created by the writer and the artist, and then there's the colorist who they pay well, but still just the colorist, not a creator. I don't know. I have to look at the injection book, I guess, to see if Dirty Valeri is considered a creator or just the person coloring the book. Anyway, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
you're next.
Me next. It is Constantine The Hellblazer, issue number 1. Yet another relaunching. This is written by Ming Doyle, who this is her first real big writing experience. She typically is an artist. She's doing the art on The Kitchen. Is the latest thing she's doing. And Tinian the Fourth is helping her write it with Riley Rosmov's doing the art and Placina doing the colors on the book. So what do you think for this new issue? Basically, kind of look at it as potentially being a way to relaunch the title yet again, and somewhat introductory to if you didn't know who John Constantine was.
Yeah, well, the first thing, I'm not going to hold this up to the standard of the original Hellblazer, because I think you're just going to disappoint yourself if you try to do that.
Without doubt.
And I think I also think it'd be unfair to the book, because that's not what it is.
To both books, really.
Yeah, because they're not the same.
Right.
First off, I really like the new design for John Constantine, because they did a good job of, don't compare these two books, but also from these two books, but no, not like that. They did a good job of making him look like, the John Constantine figure while moving him into...
The tie trench coat.
Well, moving him into...
Well, he's not really wearing a trench coat, just an overcoat, yeah.
The 21st century.
Right.
So that's cool.
Right.
I appreciate that he's bi.
Yeah, they don't mess...
He doesn't, yeah.
They do not mess around at all. Whereas it got hinted at briefly in the original run, and then nobody ever did anything with it, really. And then my understanding is they flirted with it some in the last Constantine that was in the New 52. Here it's just flat out he is flirting and hitting on this big handsome dude that's around the bar.
Yeah.
So there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Which was
he swings both ways.
Awesome. And this issue I liked it because it feels like after Hellblazer nobody could tell for me a good Constantine story, because in Hellblazer, everything you see now, John is this terrible toxic person who screws everyone over, right? They're all, everything. Basically, if you hang out with John Constantine, eventually he'll end up using you, and then your life sucks from then on there. Basically, he shows up, he acts great, he draws you in, he ruins your life.
Well, I could argue with that, but okay.
And that. Right, but that, even then, it seemed like the only kind of story they could tell of Constantine was repentance, whereas in Hellblazer, it's more like...
you're talking about the last...
Yeah.
The last one, that's how he was.
Yeah.
Now you're going back to the original.
Yeah, now I'm going back to the original.
Okay.
Right, in the original, really, it was more survivor's guilt plus the bitter dead.
Right.
And John Constantine has terrible luck, and yes, John Constantine isn't very good at saving people, so if you hang out with him and bad stuff happens, he can't necessarily.
He may wreak revenge
but,
by the end of it, but yeah,
it's
you're
not,
still fatality between.
And it's not.
Right.
But a lot of this stuff isn't his fault.
Right.
Except for
100%
maybe
agree.
just by existing. Yeah.
100%
So,
agree.
and he's a good person. I mean, he shows up to. Well, he doesn't show up, but when he sees things terrible happening, he does try and help. He's a John Constantine is a good person who terrible things happen to.
Right.
And that it felt like this was more of that sort of thing, or at least it wasn't John Constantine's a terrible
Being a
person who
dick.
tries to do good things.
Right.
Yeah. So
in this, he's not purely a bastard. He's just trying to make, he's making it through his day and whatever. And the only person he's a bastard, and here's a person that's really screwing him, attempting to screw him, and he outwits the devil. Basically,
that was so casual, and
Right.
like I can't believe how normally I complain about how easy that was, but I don't know, for Constantine it just feels really appropriate because basically this she demon shows up, right, and they sleep together, and she's like, so we have this little imp problem that I need you to take care of, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll take care of the imp problem because she has legally
broken away from
hell. I mean, she's like she's all legit and junk or whatever, right? So she's so she can't do any demon-y things, like she can't banish stuff or she'll get banished back to hell. Right. Well, of course she's basically she's not actually doing stuff legally. I mean, she's figured out. She's figured all
she's the way to work the system.
She's all the loopholes. Right, and basically she wants now that the soul harvesting system has been set up. It's this artsy magical theater, right? You go to the
Dante's
top,
Inferno.
Yeah, you go to the top floor, right? You go through all 9 circles, right? And if you make it through all 9 circles with this great time, then you're dead. Sign your soul over to eternal damnation. Right. So basically, she gets John. John's supposed to come in, right, and blast these imps, but really she wants him to blast her partner,
right? Because
it's all set up so she can just run it herself now without having to worry about anything. Right, and the demon, John's like, no. Like, I mean, he tells the guy that she's betraying, like, I don't want any part of this. And of course, the guy that she's betraying freaks out, right? Gets all giant demon, right? Starts to pound on everything. And so John is like, well, crap. So he goes to exorcise him, right? And forgets the last words to the exorcism.
Right.
So of course, then she's like, what are you talking about? The last words to the exorcism clearly are hubra. Right. And she's like, great job exercising that thing, Constantine. And he's like, I didn't do it.
Yeah,
you did.
Yep.
And so that was great. That was very Constantine.
Which of course, thing she loses.
So
her
then
contract,
she gets pulled back into hell.
Which of course, somewhere down the road will get him because now.
Yep.
I mean, she does say, if I have to fight my way back out of here, I will not forget this. And so,
I loved. I don't know. I really liked I really liked the book. And I really like the series of panels where it's him kicking her in the face as she's being dragged into hell. Right. Because that just adds to the bitterness of, damn it.
Yeah. Well, and of course that was like the one and done part of the story in here. And of course there's clearly a larger story because he has all these ghosts that are following him and there's a problem with them. One of the things I really liked about it that I thought the last one also didn't capture, this Constantine has a lot of swagger. Almost immediately when you start reading the book, that his first interaction with the lady at the dry cleaners, he just has a swagger about him of this is how it's done, just kind of a cool, smooth, silver-tongued John Constantine kind of working it, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really well done. I thought that part, that aspect of it. So I'm interested. I'm going to keep reading.
Maybe it's because my standards have just been set so low that I was really impressed with this book, but I was really impressed with this book.
Well, after the last time, for me anyway, reading the last
Constantine,
which was just disappointing because they just made him a bastard and that's all he was, with no other levels to him. Completely not what he wanted. The New 52 Constantine, I did not enjoy one bit at all.
I didn't like him in Dark Justice League. I didn't like
the New
him
52
in
Constantine. I like this one.
Yes.
I like this
for
one.
sure.
It'll be fun to see what goes on. So what's next?
Next up is Chrononauts, the last issue.
Issue 4, which cost what? $12?
$6.
$6. Extra pages of fluff. This was the ultimate movie ending. Love the art in the book. That's originally why I picked it up in the first place. I'm always kind of dicey on Millar as far as the writer go, and that continues. I will say right now that I'm not sure there's anything that could make me want to pick up another Mark Millar book. I don't care who's doing the art on it. I like the art in this, but it was way too pat. It was way too buddy action movie ending. It was just too simple, too plain, too spoon-fed. The prior 2 issues meant nothing. you
It
know,
was merely mediocre.
and
I know.
and this
Okay.
is one of those time jumping things where there's zero consequences for their time jumping. Basically, the main character goes and fixes everything, not just the problems they make with their initial jumping through time and then screwing with everything with driving Ferraris through the 1500s and stuff like that. Not only does he fix that, he fixes his entire home life that led up to him becoming a time traveler. The only consequence of this entire book is a dick punch at the end for comedic purposes.
Yeah, seriously.
To
Seriously,
me, that sucks.
oh,
I don't like.
No, this
I don't
is
like
just
time
so
jumping.
poor. This is just so like mediocre at best. First of all, the only way that's what makes time traveling interesting. Isn't going to the future and seeing all the cool stuff, or going to the past and seeing all the cool stuff. No, it's going to the past, falling off the boardwalk, and going, oh crap, what happens now? Or going to the future and bringing back stuff and being like, Booster Golding it, right? Which none of that happens in this book, right? I thought, well, maybe it'll be interesting because we have three factions coming against each other. We have the guys who are usurping, right? The two main characters, right?
Uh-huh.
The two main characters, and then the security people who are supposed to be tracking down the...
Right.
The
one guy that's left.
Well, literally, they're literally how they get away from the usurpers. It's like, okay, let's just run away and go grab a suit.
Right.
Because the freaking, and the security guy gets stepped on.
By a
By a
dinosaur.
dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna get him. Yay, he's gonna go get him. Squish.
Right, and so then they go throughout and they fix his entire life, and then when they come back, everything's great, and except for the girl, the blonde dude was flirting with, is
Right.
now married to
She's
the...
married to the security guy that got stepped on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I don't have anything else to say about this book.
Yeah. Like I said, art was cool, but...
Yep.
Yeah. So, next up we're going to talk about Birthright, issue number 8.
A good book. I really like swords. I really like this book.
I like swords.
Everybody has a weird ass cool sword.
I like
they're
big
swinging.
barbarians smashing things.
Yes, okay. If anything, this book is great because I can be like, so I just wrote a story where a pregnant winged African American lady slams into a helicopter with her flaming sword in search of her evil husband.
Yeah, awesome. I'd buy that.
No, I would exactly. It's great. No, I really like the art in it. I like the story. I'm hoping we can get over. I assume, maybe fall wrongly, but I assume it's going to have a happier ending. I assume at some point we'll get past the King Lore part, and if we don't get past the King Lore part, I'm assuming Earth won't be made into Tyrannos. I'm assuming, overall, by the end, things will end up happier. Whether Mikeys are released from King Lore, or, does the Darth Vader, or whatever. Right. I'm assuming, so I hope right now he's being affronted by spirits that are basically there to purge the King Lore from him. I'm assuming he's going to get away from these, but, maybe I'll luck out and he'll
The art in it is gorgeous. The art by Brenson and Lucas is just...
Yeah.
It's top-notch stuff. It is just rich, as rich can be.
Right now, what really interests me in this book, don't get me wrong, especially now that his girlfriend, wife has shown up, it's cool to see her do stuff, but really the interesting thing in this book is the backstory, we got...
Were you confused by the fact that towards the very end, after she's down the helicopter, there's a few panels of her without wings?
Is there?
Yeah, did she lose her wings? Or did they just forget to draw them in?
I think they just forgot to draw them in.
That's
embarrassing.
That's quite a continuity slip if that's the case. Yeah, there's a couple panels towards the end where she's running and she's lost her wings, and I just don't know. I mean, you spend enough time here, you lose those powers, or
I don't know.
I mean, because she's enough of an anomaly, because there aren't people with wings flying around.
Yeah.
Cool book, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. What are we talking about next?
Next up is Midnight Society, The Black Lake, issue 1.
Meh.
4. Okay, so honestly, I felt like I was part of me felt like I was watching a children's...
So half the book is set up to who these two characters are. One that works for one society, one that works for another society. They're both
friends.
They're kind of friends, colleagues. They clearly split in the 20s. They clearly split and go their separate ways because they have different ways of approaching stuff. One guy's more of a money grab, glory hog, and the other one is really
science.
Is about science and that sort of stuff. So half the story is set up on that, and I think that's meaningless. I mean, way too many pages were spent on all that to give us the basic understanding of they know each other, but clearly have these whole different approaches of doing stuff, and that may have some influence on what goes forward. And then we get to the actual story with the actual character, this female lead,
I felt like,
and they're going to Loch Ness to find the money grab glory hound guy has disappeared, and they're trying to find it.
I feel like, reading this was very, like, I don't know, Disney or Pixar movie-esque. I mean, because in the beginning, right, they capture the fairy, right? They show up to do, okay, first of all, there's an evil guy, right, working under the masquerade of science, right? He shows up,
Sure.
right, and then turns out, surprise, he's capturing the things, right? So evil guy captures, little baby thing's mom, right? So at some point, little baby thing's mom is going to have to be returned, right? Now we go years later, so little baby thing is all grown up enough to come, right? Yeah.
Probably.
No, it felt so, like, seriously, they just took all of the Disney villain cliches, right, and stuck them into one guy.
Yeah. I mean, I love the title of the thing.
Yeah.
I like the idea that I read in solicitations of it.
Yeah.
But the art was kind of and the actual storytelling itself, the dialogue, not good.
Yep.
Any aspect of it, I guess, really. So, Black Science, issue number 15. We spend more than a few hours in one place.
I know, wow.
There is a death in here. Let's not spoil that death.
Let's not?
Let's not spoil that death.
Well, dang it, I can't even complain about what I was going to complain about now, because part of it, okay.
I like that character, though.
Yeah, me too. I can't explain why I like that character, because as soon as I talk about it, it'll give away who it is so obviously. Okay, I don't really like this book that
I know you don't.
much. I like seeing all the weird ideas that they come up with. That's cool. I like the place that they're at now. I really like the character design, even though everybody has goofy names. I guess characters keep dying and then reappearing and then dying and then different dimensions of them showing up so much that it's impossible for me to get... I mean, hell, I don't even... Like, half the time it feels like I don't even know what's going on. And it's just hard for me to get invested in characters because, except for, I think, the kids. I think the kids are the only ones that have been alive throughout the entire time.
Sean hasn't died.
Sean hasn't died. And
The kids haven't died, and the girlfriend hasn't died.
But even then, yeah, exactly. And those are all the characters that I don't really...
Yeah.
So... I guess I like it for the idea, and I like seeing the art. The art's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. And I like seeing cool stuff happen. I just don't really care. I don't care about the characters at all. Except for the one that just died. Who was the one that I liked.
Okay. Yeah, it's getting more complicated to be invested in the characters, you're right. Because the main character, Grant, we've seen multiple Grants now. I'm still enjoying the book. I'm curious to see where it goes from here. I'm curious to see if we get reinvested somewhere along the way. I mean, this current Grant that's there seems like the Grant that's going to stick for a while.
Yeah.
He's making some of the hard choices.
Unless he dies now.
Right. He's making some of the hard choices that the last Grant kind of seemingly, in the name of science and helping everybody, was kind of avoiding a lot of that stuff. So, and so this, this version's taking on those responsibilities as opposed to jumping away from them. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it. But you're right, there isn't an investment in any one character. Like lots of the books, you get invested in a character and then you're concerned about what happens to them, and so then you're like, oh my gosh, what's next, kind of thing. For me in this one, it's more of the what's next as far as what kind of insanity are they going to
And see, I have trouble for
next.
reading things off the premise and what they... I mean, there's a few, like, for instance, J.H. Williams. J.H. Williams could do anything, right? Dan Didio could write it, and I would still enjoy that book because J.H. Williams. But the art or the idea backing the book, neither one is powerful enough for me to be able to read it without attaching myself to one of the characters, which is impossible to do because they either die and then reappear or just die.
Sure.
Okay.
So what's next?
Next up is... I don't know which... FBP, issue 21.
I'm still really digging FUB. I love the idea that we got most of the main characters are in the nether world of in between dimensions, and I don't know what's going to go on there. They could have blown them up clearly, and the last moment they chose not to. The home base, the Blackwell people, the evil people basically. So I'm curious to see what happens next as far as that element goes. And then, of course, we have back on Earth. We have all the bad stuff that's going on there. We've got, I can't remember their names. mother and child. The child is like uber genius. The child is like, understands all of physics, and she's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years old, and she can just rattle herself off. But of course, Earth, because of all the physics disasters that's going on there, has become kind of
almost definitely
post-apocalyptic.
Post-apocalyptic.
It's like Walking Dead, almost kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like everybody for themselves. I mean, they're running north, just trying to hide out, and they run into some people.
Yeah, I am way more interested in the mom of the child.
Yeah, they run into some people, and those people seem like happy hippies, and then in the middle of the night, they try killing them, I'm assuming to eat them or something. I have no idea.
That's what my assumption was. Yeah, exactly.
So,
and Batman's in the shadows and just takes him out. Takes him out, right? I mean, it's great because, they give her lemonade, right?
The root beer.
Yeah, right, right? Obviously, they don't root for the kid because she's the kid, right? Right, and she's like, oh, yeah, thanks. Oh, yeah.
Because they're way too pleasant and copacetic for all the crap that's going on around them. They're
exactly.
It's like,
and late in the night, right, they come in, right, with an axe and the knife, right, and they're like, great, you gave enough Jesus juice to take down an elephant, right, she's still, right, you handle her, I'll take the kid, right, and she steps out from a dark corner and slaughters them both, right, she hears, right, the little kid does, right, and she's like, Mom, oh no, Mom, right, and she comes out, Mom slaughtered them both, right, and she's like, great, we're gonna take all their stuff and we're gonna leave, okay, bye.
Right.
I'm way more interested in them. They've been around for like 5 issues. I'm still way more interested in them.
Not
that I don't dislike the main characters.
Right,
Rosa, Adam, and
Cicero.
All of them interest me, and I like them, and I'm interested to see what happens to them. I just happen to like those two way more.
Yeah. Fun book.
Yeah.
So definitely really enjoying it. Why not? Sure. Next up we have Roche Limit Clandestine issue number 2.
This is not nearly as good as the original Roche Limit. I like the art. That's about it.
I don't like the art. It's just it's just all a muddy blob to me. I don't like the art, and
see, the cool thing about the last Roche Limit is it was kind of like a horror movie. It was like a weird sci-fi horror movie. I mean, you come out, they show up, right, and obviously there's civilization, but, weird stuff and weirder stuff keeps happening, right? And it's already dark and there's already bad things happening, so nobody really notices all the weird dark stuff that's happening, so that makes it even more weird and dark because people are getting away, and at the very end, it all comes to fruition, tons of weird stuff happens, right? The main character dies, but still a happy ending, right? You're like, this is a good horror movie, it was good, right? While this is, like, coming out too strong. I mean, we've already seen basically one of the monsters. We've already seen one of them. I mean, sure, there's this mystery that's happening, but are they going to even live long enough to...
But it's not much of a mystery.
No, it's not.
It doesn't feel like much of a mystery. We've got this place where they've crash landed a place they probably weren't supposed to get to. They've been sent on a mission that really isn't their mission, and... they're all
going to die. Probably. And the other cool thing, it doesn't have lots of the art isn't as good. I like the art, but it isn't as good. And one of the really, really cool things about Roche Limit was that we cared about all the characters, not because we had to spend time giving their backstories, but at the beginning of each thing, we had this 3 or 4 page speech over their personal dharma and ideals, right? Yeah, and that was cool.
Right, and there's nothing philosophical in this one whatsoever. It's much more straightforward and blunt.
Yep.
Blunt. There's no sharpness to it, so that's unfortunate. So I'm hoping that somewhere something picks up or whatever, because I want to like it, but nothing in comparison to the last one for sure. Let's talk this next.
Okay, yeah.
Let's talk Descender issue number 4 because we have things to talk about. Because Ethan loves this book.
I don't love this book. I really like it though. I like the art and I like the characters. Actually really like the art.
Okay, what happens in this issue? Does the story move anywhere in this issue?
Yes.
Really? Okay, what moves in it?
Tim, Driller, and Bandit are now safe for a little while on the
No, people come to the take
for
them.
a little while on the ship, right? We get some backstory on the lady in charge. Right. And then they get attacked by a squid ship, and that's cool. They get attacked by...
I hate the art for that part.
By higher scrappers, by a higher caliber of scrappers than the one that attacked them before.
The initial ones. Mm-hmm.
And now they are taking...
So these guys clearly aren't really scrappers.
Yeah, they're higher than that.
Yeah, they intend on taking them to something
They're taking them... I'm assuming the leader of the anti-robot cultists has ordered that they take them to the melting pit.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun.
But nothing really happens in this issue, really, though.
All of that happens.
It doesn't happen. They state that's what's going to happen, but nothing happens. And that was the problem with the last issue. Nothing really happens. See, the problem is I've told Ethan I'm dropping this book.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, don't drop the book.
What?
It's my favorite. See, I don't like that art. Those ships are just blobs of things on a pretty wash of watercolor space. Appreciate the watercolor space, but the two blobs that are supposed to be spaceships, I don't appreciate. There are parts in this where the art is awesome, and there's parts in this where it's like, oh, Dustin Nguyen's got a lot of work to do, and this is all the ways he can make shortcuts. So that bugs me sometimes. There are some pages in here that are just absolutely beautiful. But they spend a lot of time staying around, scratching their heads and scratching their butts going, ooh, was Tim's dream of heaven a dream? Or was he really there? And of course, robots can't dream. This is an awesome page.
That is an awesome page.
That is a gorgeous page
Yes,
of
yes,
her
it is.
remembering back to her mom being cut down by the robots. That's a
Yeah.
cool page. I'll give you that. But it just does not feel like anything's really... I have no draw to any of these characters. I briefly thought I was going to like Tim with issue 2, Tim 21, where we get kind of his past of him learning how to basically kind of be a boy too.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, it's like, yeah, I don't care about any of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing exciting enough is going on, like for instance, like in Black Science, to make it exciting. There was nothing exciting. So when I did my order, I did not put this on it. I know, I'm horrible.
Yeah, you are.
I know. The disembodied voice will probably bitch at me about it too.
Probably.
You guys like all cute little boy bots or whatever, but...
Next up is Saga, issue 29. I have literally no idea what's going on in this book. It just looks even crazier.
It's awesome! So,
I'm
yeah.
gonna leave. I don't want spoilers. I'm gonna read this someday.
Brutal death in this one, and it's like not a death that is drawn out. It's just like it's done, which is pretty shocking. Character I didn't expect to go, but that's the beauty of non-corporate books. You know, anything's fair game if they want it to be. This issue is also really exciting because we the rebels here come to an impasse with the TV-headed guy, Diego, maybe is his name. I can't remember his name. He kind of teamed up with them to make some stuff happen, and he's realized 100% that is not the right thing to do. And so things have gotten dramatically exciting in this issue, and yeah, really loving Saga as always. Something if you're not reading it in singles, pick it up and trade because it's a pretty good story. Some amazing dialogue and personal reflection in it that's pretty awesome, I think. So enjoy it a lot. And that is it for this week of No Capes. Check you out next week. Bye.